As far as hyperactivity goes, a lot of that is based on your endocrine function. Um, how many hormones you produce, and of course, what you eat can make this worse or better. If you eat a lot of red meat, it's going to make you have more energy. If you're already an energetic or hyperactive person, red meat is probably not the move. Aajonus said that he had a lot of his high intensity athletes eat exclusively white meat, basically. That's what they wanted, because red meat would just make them more, you know, hyperactive. And when you have this hyperactivity and you don't exercise it, whether through physical activity or singing or something, it can build up and cause anxiety. So if you have hyperactivity, there's several things you can do about it. The first being activity, depending on how, you could look at your activity rings in your eyes. Depending on how many you have, you can eat anywhere from 1 to, 8 or 9 hours of exercise in a day. Of course, like the extreme end is like your athletes who do that all day. And then your other end is like someone who just needs to get out and take a walk. So you just have to figure out where you are on that spectrum. And diet's a big thing. So, depending on how hyperactive or how much energy you have, control how much red meat you're eating. I would say probably focus on raw fats as well to calm the body. You could try suppositories to calm the nerves and feed the nerves, help rebuild them. And you may find that putting enough raw fat in your diet will solve your problems, because I think one of the reasons people have overactive glands and endocrine systems is because they're starved from fats. Hormones are 60 to 80% fat. So if you're not getting enough raw fat in your diet, your body will probably make it to use it as energy. So you're kind of running on fumes, so to speak. And, that's very taxing on the body and stressful in general. And that's one reason why you see a lot of vegans or vegetarians who they might do okay on the diet, their diets, because they have such a high glandular function that their body's producing all this stuff, and they can still eat a vegan or a vegetarian diet and not experience the effects as much as other people. Obviously, I'm not advocating for those diets, but obviously there's people who are on those diets enough who say, oh yes, well, this works for me, I like it. So it is what it is. Another food item is the nut formula. So the nut formula is very good at binding hormones and such, calming the nerves. It's a starch substitute. If the nut formula doesn't work, because the nut formula doesn't always work. You can't eat it every day. What you can do and what you should do are two different things, but you shouldn't do it every day. It might cause adverse detoxification reactions if you eat it every day. But twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, and you can eat that with meat. Later in the day is better, or maybe little bits throughout the day could be good, depending on, what your body needs. If the nut formula doesn't work, you could give cooked starches a try. Things like rice or bread. I think potatoes less than, air popped popcorn. But I don't know about for hyperactivity. That seems, cooked starches are for something more drastic, I guess. More, I don't know, where there's more danger, or more, where the consequences could be worse. Like if you're having a breakdown or something, or someone's having a breakdown, they might need the cooked starch. But in terms of general hyperactivity, I don't know. I would try all that other stuff first. It should work, especially if you combine things like eating enough raw fat, the nut formula and getting exercise and moving away from red meat and making sure your vegetable juice intake is adequate. At least 2 cups a day, at least. So, hyperactivity, it's a blessing and a curse. It can be good to have that energy to do things. I used to be hyperactive. I used to, not so much, but I used to work out 3 to 4 hours, 5-6 days a week. I used to, I'd ride my bike to the gym. That was an hour. And then I'd work out for 2 hours. And then I'd ride my bike back home. That's about 3 to 4 hours. And I did that 4, 5, sometimes 6 days a week if I was training. So, and that was okay for me. I felt pretty good. I would sleep. But, as I've been on the diet for, 5 years next month, that, that's changed. I don't really need that anymore because I'm eating mostly white meat. I'm doing the vegetable juice. I don't even take nut formula right now. I'd like to make some for the winter. But this summer I haven't. I've been working outside, trying to stay active, but I really have to move myself. Another thing too is I've been eating moldy berries, so I've been a little lethargic. We'll see how long that lasts. But I'm not saying take moldy berries to counter your hyperactivity, by the way. I'm just saying that's an effect of the moldy berries, is some lethargy. I've been taking them since August, July, something like that. So, there's plenty of things you can do for hyperactivity. Finding ways to channel it and be productive is important. Because if you have this built up energy, it's going to go to other places. It's going to find other outlets, usually in negative ways. They say, what is it? Idle hands are the devil's plaything. And it's true. So, you need to occupy not just your mind, but your body with things to exercise that energy. Stay away from red meat if you're hyperactive, I would say. Unless it's in little amounts with lots of fat, and eat it with other white meat. You can mix your meats. Have beef and fish. Have pork and chicken, fish and pork. Mix it up and make sure you're eating raw fat with them. And milk, raw milk is very important because that will calm you down a lot. It really helps, especially you put a little honey in there. So I think that's about. Well, one last thing is. In the Q&As, Aajonus mentioned that, or someone asked about hyperactivity due to a brain injury. So that's a very specific case. And he mentioned eating fish and then having 2 to 3 tablespoons of raw cream with your fish meal to help protect the nervous system, nourish the nervous system. Because butter doesn't do that, only cream does. So if you're having problems with nerves, cream is always better than butter. And you can have a little honey with your cream too. It'll digest a little better. So that's about all for hyperactivity. Any more questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks.